Jordan Peterson, just coming off of his mistaken tweet where he realized he was siding with Steven Crowder against the Daily Wire, and then he realized, like, oh no, I work for the Daily Wire, and I realized that my principles start with my platform. Everything that starts with a P. So that's the way I did it. And I deleted that tweet and moved on to some other nonsense. Here he is with the Hoover Institution's Victor Davis Hanson. And
he's got a new project.
When you see what I've got going now.
Let me cook.
You could imagine, and I don't think this is technically impossible, you could imagine a system of blockchain accrediting tests that would be freely available to people. You know, I would do this on a for-profit basis.
Pause that.
That's my favorite part. That's my favorite part. So you could imagine it would be a free, democratizing, egalitarian school system. But of course, it would, for me, it would be on a for-profit basis.
Wait, so if I understand what he's saying is that he is contemplating a online school, for-profit online university, but the big innovation is we won't even have to hire any professors.
Just let the blockchain do it.
Because we will just make sure people aren't cheating because it's on the blockchain.
Of course.
So it's just University of Austin, except with crypto.
Right. It is. Well, it doesn't even sound like it's going to be crypto as much as just like the technology to not have to hire people.
It'll be on the ledger.
Yeah.
So
because sorry, but that is the important point here is all these people act like it's just administrations that have soaked up all the money, and that's why like kids have to take out giant student loans. Then there's certainly like been an expansion of administration, but the real thing is the tax base has completely evaporated for these things, and we don't fund it federally anymore.
And to be clear, for-profit colleges and universities are the scammiest type of institutions out there. Now, not all for-profit colleges. I'm sure there are some that are helpful. But basically, they prey on people who feel like they cannot move up in the professional world without a degree. They think that there is a glass ceiling. Often there is. But there is no evidence that these type of degrees, particularly online, enhance your ability to make money. If there was, I can assure you that would be the first thing that you would see on their website. Our graduates 5 years out are making $15,000 more annually, $30,000 more annually. You would see this on all their websites. You do not. I also know that something like 90% of their revenue, that may be understating it, comes from government student loans. Mm-hmm. And their whole strategy is like the radio business where they would tell you, like, the key is hold them over the first break. You take them for the first 15 minutes. You need them to come back for that first advertising break. That's when they come out with the ratings. That's where you get your big money for your advertising dollars. In the for-profit university system, it is hold them till they get their second payment of their government loan. That's the agenda. So what's impressive about Jordan Peterson, and we've only let him say 4 words, in just those 10 words or whatever it is, one sentence, he's already said, like, what I'm potentially thinking about is how to take what is almost a criminal enterprise and be able to do it with less labor costs.
And less oversight. Well, on the blockchain, right?
Well, that's more oversight on the blockchain, but theoretically.
The point being is just like, he's just saying, like, we're going to do testing moderation, but without humans. So.
And he thinks this is technically possible, so let's see how he tries to elaborate it.
You could imagine, and I don't think this is technically impossible, you could imagine a system...
And pause it for 1 second. I'm sorry to interrupt again. Just want to be clear that saying something you don't think is technically impossible is the weakest way in which you can express that an idea is possible without having to own any of it. Right. And this is what a lot of these people do. Everything is spoken in sort of like double negative qualified so that they can never be. Well, I didn't say it was possible. I said, I think
I'm trying to grapple with a hard problem.
Technically not impossible. And you can imagine a world which, in a technical sense, it would not be impossible. That seems quite obvious to me. So there. Go ahead.
You could imagine, and I don't think this is technically impossible, you could imagine a system of blockchain accrediting tests that would be freely available to people. You know, I would do this on a for-profit basis.
Of course.
But so that if you wanted to claim Bachelor of Arts equivalents with regards to your knowledge of the humanities, that you could take a set of objective tests that couldn't be mucked about with by administrators and gain your proxy by that manner. So imagine this, it's an enterprise that I've envisioned and we're pursuing at the moment.
It's my idea.
Imagine I
I'm
could
pursuing it.
Produce a data set of 10,000 multiple choice questions, say in American history. And I could do that by buying multiple choice tests from high school and university professors all across the country. Okay, now we'd have to administer them to several thousand people, and then we could analyze each question with regards to its accuracy as a predictor of general knowledge domain. You can do that. You can rank order them. Then imagine you have a program that can randomly pick equivalent level of difficulty questions from that whole set of 10,000. You could set up a system that could produce random tests, so they couldn't exactly be.
Pause it just one real quick. Whoever's going to get the contract to set up the system is going to make a lot of good money and not have to deliver anything real.
Because they'll just use the model used for like the SAT or any standardized test?
Understand what he's doing is he's basically saying, like, we're going to do a GED equivalency test for bachelors by taking random multiple choice. Yes. And that is how you will earn your bachelor's of arts or science. I mean, this is just like, it's an accrediting test, and it is basically saying that education is only an assessment of what knowledge you possess.
And in a multiple choice format. And what's funny about this is, like, first of all, the new grift, we're over crypto and blockchain, it's AI. But in the context of AI, what they're doing now, there's a story that ChatGPT recently passed the bar exam. And what it passed was the multiple choice section of that, given the data. So, like, he's actually creating a test that would be basically solvable by AI because it's just purely multiple choice, because you don't want to have any administrators actually reading any sort of qualitative question answering and grading it that way. This would be purely, like, you could easily, who's going to make sure and administer the test that you aren't cheating on it?
And in the end, there will be someone at the top, right? Like this is the same thing, the critique of big tech from the right, where they don't have any systemic critique about, say, the algorithm or the way that the company is necessarily structured. It's all, we just don't have the right billionaire in charge of this. And when the good big daddy Elon Musk is going to come in and he'll fix Twitter, like, this is kind of just the same stuff. Except it's just Jordan Peterson and his ilk will be at the head of it. And the liberal administrators, you won't have to worry about them anymore.
And Slam Cedar says this shit already exists. Map testing has been around for decades. Yeah. He's so unserious that he doesn't even take 2 minutes to ask any actual testing expert. I mean, of course. And the bottom line is, it's like, again, the idea that it's a substitute for an education is just an assessment. Well, why would you not even allow people to, like, use their phones or their computers when they take this test? Because if the information's all out there, what difference? Who cares if it's sitting in your brain? Yeah, like, the idea that is a measure of your education on some level, that just your ability to answer a multiple choice test. We all have phones. Why would we need the ability? Why would that be the one ability?
Yeah.
Oh, I know why. Because we could do this with a certain amount of startup costs. Our operating expenses would be low, and I could brand it as Jordan Peterson's college without having to deal with trans people, and you could get your college or university equivalency, and I would get rich at the same time. That sounds like an interesting idea, if you ask me. So there you have it.
What all these reactionaries hate about college is, and what Peterson's solution is to get you out of college and working for a boss, because they hate that you have the leisure to basically be in an environment learning and socializing among your peers without serving a capitalist.
Wait,
this is
I can say that better if I do a camera angle change. Now I'm talking this way, and I'll come back and talk that way to you to show how serious I am about this thing that I've imagined and already have proprietary license over. So that's why I'm
Gotta do more finger work.
Okay, continue to run the tape.
He's wearing an IDW tie, by the way, if you look closely at that. That's Weinstein, Rubin, I think Shapiro's on there. So that's pretty
also
cool.
ugly as hell.
Incidentally, my tie is proof I'm clinically insane.
Of difficulty questions from that whole set of 10,000. You could set up a system that could produce random tests so they couldn't exactly be faked or cheated easily. And you could rank
Not
order
easily.
in terms of their knowledge domains with regards to those tests, and you could
Stupid.
blockchain it so it would be completely impenetrable to administrative interference, and you could steal the accreditation away from the universities. And I think I can't see any reason at all that that's not technically possible.
Pause it. The idea that you could come up with a continuous randomized multiple choice test that could exist and wouldn't be interfered with by administrators. That's what the we have those tests.
But well, also, like, even just theoretically, like, okay, you said it wouldn't be easy to cheat it. Well, what if you find out somebody does cheat it, but their scores went directly onto the blockchain, the thing that you supposedly can't administer? That means they just get their cheated score.
But what is
no
it?
recourse,
But the thing is like, you're setting it up. I mean, just like this, the idea that you're just inputting these tests. Are you going to get every single multiple choice test ever made and then allow it to be random?
Yeah.
Or are you going to have any implication? Are you going to make any decision as to whose test you're going to take?
Yeah.
And he's a psychologist. He's supposed to be operating within the grayer areas of things and understanding that context and framing matters and all this stuff. But now his job is essentially to carry water for wealthy people who want to see things like humanities undercut. So when he talks about administrators, right, it's all code for gender studies, that kind of stuff.
Of course, they force you to say people's pronouns in a way that you don't want to. You know what we're watching?
Never do that.
Here's what we're watching, though, and just to be clear, everything that we just watched is part of a reel that Jordan Peterson will send to some right-wing billionaire who, and this is the way we will ensure that cultural Marxism does not bleed into the classroom. We will steal the accredited degrees away from the colleges where the communists have infiltrated. And this is it. And he will get the money and they will launch it. And then, after the investigations, the failure, and once they cannot get accredited enough so that they get loans from the federal government, and they have to just rely on essentially Christian fundamentalists to send their kids there. And then after 5 years, where they realize no one takes this seriously. The only people who get hired here are in Ted Cruz's office or at Hobby Lobby. That's it, and that's what's going to happen with that. That's just, what a scam. God, I'd like to get in on that.
Also, I think Jordan Peterson's tweet should be on the blockchain, so when he inadvertently supports an attack on the company that pays him, he's not able to delete it later.
Listen, that is all part of keeping the cultural Marxists out of you, poisoning your child's mind